Hey everybody, Mike McWilliams, Upstairs to the Right Music channel. Thank you so much for joining in this evening. Whether you're watching this live right now, or if you're going to watch this in the rerun, I want to let you know I do appreciate you taking the time to watch. Let me make a couple of adjustments here as we get started. Yeah, I think that's enough light. I'm playing with the light this evening. I have a couple of lights here, but my strongest one, it's like going to a tanning salon, which I do not need, obviously. And I don't like turning it on too much. Hey, Ben, good evening. Hope you're well. Good to see you, sir. Yeah, this looks good. All right. Yeah, man. Here we are again. Thank goodness. Here for another week. Dewey, good evening. Here again, everybody. It's always a blessing to be able to be here with you guys every Sunday night, Sunday at Mike's. Yeah, I was thinking about changing the name from Sunday at Mike's to Mike Check, but I thought that was a little bit too blasé. So I'm going to keep it the way it is. But Sunday at Mike's, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Uh, yeah, this week was really wild. I have to say that the weather here in Amsterdam was terrible. It was cold and rainy and miserable, uh, to the extreme. And I've been here for 3 years now. Ford Hammy, welcome. Shazam. It was pretty bad, and I had a couple of guitars that I had to deliver, and I do that by hand, literally, and a lot of other running around. So I caught a cold, guys. I actually caught a cold. Maddie, welcome, sir. Yeah, I caught myself a cold, which is very rare for me. I don't do it very often. I'm kind of fighting it off a little bit, guys. You know, I have quite a medicine chest to fight off things like that. So it seems so far to be working, but I may cut it a little short tonight, is the point of all that. We'll see how I feel. Yeah, the shitty weather you speak of, we're experiencing here in Ottawa. Yeah, it goes around, I'll tell you that much. Hey, brother, I was finally able to make it again. Phil Rodriguez in the house. Thank you so much for showing up, sir. Yes, I am a computers here too. Very, very good. Everybody's in the house this evening. So good to see everybody. Yeah, I'm a little. So I shot a video, as I told you, talking about acoustic guitars in general. But I decided, and generally Saturday I would edit in the morning and put it out by the afternoon. But I had to go and do some things on Saturday. I actually had to go do a guitar deal on Saturday in the shitty weather, as was just described. And yeah, it was a little bit on me, so I just decided to rest for the rest of the day. So I will be putting that video out tomorrow. And tonight I may curtail this a little short this evening. We shall see. I have a big list of stuff here sitting next to me of stuff to go through that I'm excited to talk to you guys about this evening. But I will take my throat in consideration. Um, every week I'm doing this and that and the other, but I'm also looking for parts for my parts caster or projects that I'm putting together. I've got a few here in the wind. But one of the things that I like about the Partcaster is its pickups, the fact that it came with a great set of ceramic pickups. Now, I don't know how many of you guys out there are fans of ceramic pickups, just as a little bit of a poll if you want to chime in your thoughts on ceramic pickups. I'd love to hear them right now. But I really am not. I'm not a snob towards them. I think that they require a little bit of dialing in, and you have to dial them in a little bit differently than you would a set of Alnico 5 pickups, for example. and this goes across the board. I'm not talking about just Strats. I'm talking about humbuckers as well. It's just, and this is going to be the broader theme tonight, guys, talking about pickups and things of that nature. But I do like ceramic pickups are great. Thank you. I like ceramic pickups just fine. Sometimes I just roll the volume down. Yeah, Manny. Yeah, and a couple other things we're going to talk about here too that you can do with ceramic pickups. So when I make the next statement, guys, it is not a statement out of the fact that I was in any way displeased with the set of ceramic pickups that unfortunately came with the body I bought for that parts caster. Ben says, I had ceramic pickups in a Squier Strat a while ago and no complaints about them. Yeah, that's the amazing thing. And these are older ceramic pickups on this parts caster. As I told you, it's a 2002 body. So 2002 pickups, that's 20-year-old, 21-year-old pickups on them. I'm not to say they're the stock ones that they were using, from that period until now, or up until 2017, I understand. But they're serviceable, and just like any other mass-produced pickup, there's going to be hits and misses. These were great. I had no problems with them. So I am not displeased with them out of snobbery or anything like that. It's just a deal came along this week for me on something that actually I like better. Highly underrated. People are too quick to update. Yeah, Phil, and that's why I threw that out there, because I'm not updating this just out of the sake of updating. Ceramic pickups, I like them. I don't have a problem with them. But there are, as you guys know, I like the 490. Was that the 490 and the 498 humbucker pickups? I think that those are the best ones out there, in my opinion. We talked about that. Those are the ones that came with the standard 60s Les Paul Gibson. So yeah, those pickups, I do believe that's what they were. Yeah, I really like those in that guitar. And as far as single coil pickups, I've always had Japanese guitars, as you guys know. Being in Japan for, not altogether, but 18 years altogether total in Japan, and running into a lot of Japanese guitars. Of course, I fell in love with the sound of Japanese pickups. Matty Cat says 490s are Alnico 2. They are great. Yes, thank you. Yeah, those are the pickups. I love those. Those are fantastic. Just as an example. But I like Japanese pickups. In particularly, one of the things about my old Telecaster I had was its Japanese Alnico pickup. I just like the sound of the way, and believe me, with Japanese pickups, there's no rhyme or reason. There are some guitars that are spec'd to have, they sometimes they don't even tell you what it is. Sometimes it'll be spec to have ceramic, but it'll have Alnico pickups in it, and that's across the board with, especially when you're talking about these pickups that I am discussing tonight. These pickups that I got for $40, and again, I'm keeping my budget under 300 euros for this part caster. I'm not even close to that yet. 40 euros, I found a set of Japanese Alnico pickups from 1989 out of Ibanez copy guitar. It's a little, yeah, see, this is when you get into the weeds of looking for stuff, because it gets complicated. Came out of a guitar called a Jarok. Now, Jaroks were imported here into the Netherlands by three brothers, Jap, Rob, and Koos, in the late 1970s. Just like my Stoner Les Paul, these were guitars that they had the bodies and everything assembled in Japan. They shipped it over here and they stuck their name on it. They labeled it under their own name. And these were custom guitars again, like my Stoner guitar, a Les Paul. They were designed with really good top of the line stuff. Now, a lot of the Japanese guitars at that time had ceramic pickups. This is without question. However, these Duroc guitars, the woods, the pickups again were a little bit higher, and they had Alnico pickups in it. Now, one of them came up on the local market, and the minute that the guy was talking about it, I knew what they were. I said to myself, wow, those are old Ibanez, the same pickups that went in the old Ibanez guitars back in the day, 90s, 80s, and I do like the sound of those Japanese Alnico pickups from that period, like my old Telecaster from '92. So I got those for $40. I will be swapping those, not for swapping's sake, but I am interested in hearing how those old Japanese. So 1989, how old is that, guys? It's like, that's like 31 years or something like that. Pretty old. How those will sound in this Partcaster guitar. And so I start off tonight with that. Now these were made in 1989. They were made in the Fujigen factory. Again, all of those Japanese pickups that Fujigen was pumping out, those Ibanezes and these off brands like Jaroc, they were all pretty much the same. But they didn't really stamp anything on the back of them, so you really have to kind of look at them and know what they are. The ceramic pickups from that day are pretty easy to identify. There's a bar magnet, right on the back of it if you look at the back of the pickup. With the old Japanese Alnico pickups, you'll just see the pole pieces in the back. So not that difficult to identify those older ceramic versus Alnico pickups. But they just sent them out willy-nilly. And they're out there in the world. You do get a chance, $40 shipping. I couldn't say no to that. The guy was honest about it. He said, hey, I have one of the old Jaroc guitars. I'm putting a set of, what was he putting? He said he's putting in there like EVs or something like he's putting in there. And he says, I took these out. I'm the original owner, and you can have them for a nice price. And I just happened to be looking that day, and I said, I'll take it. So those will be going in here. I'll actually do the wiring and soldering and wiring myself to do the swap on that to keep the cost down. I got a soldering iron. Did I tell you guys that? I finally got one after 3 years. I finally got a soldering iron, and so I can start doing that work very quickly here myself. That's not too difficult. But I say all these things to say to you that really I'm doing this because I found a cheap set of 30-year-old Japanese Alnico pickups for, that I happen to like because I kind of grew up on those, so that would be my reason for why. And they may not work with this guitar. I may put the ceramics right back in again. We shall see. I'm not saying they're going to be improvement. I don't know. Again, like I said, it's a dice roll. It's hit and miss. You don't know. Again, original owner, been in the guitar, hasn't been messed with. Those are all good signs. So we shall see. But the truth of the matter is, guys, you don't need to do any kind of swaps like that with ceramic pickups, as was mentioned here earlier. They're just fine. What you probably should be thinking about doing is making adjustments. And I have it here, the guitar here next to me. So how is that framing? Yeah, very good. So the first thing that you might want to do is start considering where your pickups are sitting. You might want to start making those small, and again, like I said, I don't have it here next to me, but your Phillips head screwdriver and small turns and listening. Make your adjustments as you go through that. get it to where the height sounds like it's a sweet spot for you and your amp. Again, a good amp is, or a good model or something like that, something decent that you can really hear what it is you're doing is very key to this. But with ceramic pickups, a lot of people, they'll ride them high like their Alnico pickups, and they'll say, "Oh, those suck. Those aren't great." Well, no, ceramic pickups, you really you got to get them down to the deck almost. And that's just one of the things. These are staggered pole pieces, so that really makes it great. That's another reason why I don't really have a problem with these ceramic pickups. They're staggered pole pieces, and frankly speaking, those are a little slightly higher quality ones of those. There's some flat ones, but I like the staggered ones. Between those two, I prefer to have staggered. But that's the first thing that you can do in order to clean up those ceramic pickups. The next thing that you can do that, is a lot cheaper than doing a pickup swap is to buy yourself an EQ pedal. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there know this. I say these things for the folks out there who are looking for this kind of information that may be new to it. So if I'm rehashing something here for you guys, please bear with me. I have a even broader point that you might find interesting. But an EQ pedal, guys. You can make any decent set of pickups sound fine with getting that sweet spot where they should be right with your guitar, and then an EQ pedal, to be honest with you. Really on a fundamental level, a pickup microphones or pickups are wound to a certain EQ. Now, that means if you can find a pretty good set of even pickups that with a decent EQ pedal, you could pretty much get any tone out of whatever that guitar is. You may even make a Strat sound like a Gibson as well. I used to do it with my Telecaster. You can achieve almost any tone out of that set of pickups if you have an additional EQ pedal or EQ of some sort. A big money saver. Burps in a cute way. Really seriously, EQ pedal. On my board, I have two EQ pedals actually. The first one is my Fender Level Set Buffer. It's a basic high frequency sweep EQ on there, but that's exactly what it's designed for. It's so that you can have multiple guitars. You can go from single coil guitars to humbuckers, and without worrying about changing the rest of the things on your board, this helps you make adjustments in terms of level and frequency, so that everything is good with a simple turn of one knob. The next one is the EQ that I have programmed into my Zoom Multi-Stomp. And again, I don't have it on all the times, but sometimes if I'm trying to EQ in a frequency that I'm not hearing and a tone that I'm trying to achieve, I just use that. The Zoom Multi-Stomp pedal, again, guys, boy, I wish I had something like this. I've had Zoom products before. I've recorded using Zoom products before, but this one, boy, it saves a lot of space on your pedal board. Don't get crazy with it. Use 4, you can stack pedals on it. Just use 3 or 4 at a time. It doesn't get noisy that way, and it works just great. But yeah, EQ, an EQ pedal. And all this leads to the fact that I will say, for the record, there are certainly tonal frequencies with pickups that are inherent to them. That's why I like Japanese Alnico pickups. I can hear it, or they sound sweet to me. But again, that's subjective. One man's ceiling is another man's floor, we say. But I don't think that it's necessary to go out there and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on pickups. I was tempted because as you know, do I have them here? Yeah, right over here. I have Q pickups. I like their wines. I have uh, their Dry Z wine that they did, replica, not a replica, but copy. And I was considering having them wind a set of Strat pickups for my Parts Caster Strat as well. Again, not out of the fact that I didn't like the ceramics, but I did want to hear a set of amplified pickups. But the reality of that is 130, 150 euro kind of thing to do that. And I didn't want to put that kind of money into this guitar. So I got lucky. Lightning struck again for me. I don't know. It seems like the parts gods are smiling on me because I keep getting things that I can be extremely happy with, share with you guys so you can hear what a set of 80s, late 80s Japanese Alnico pickups sound like. And also experiment cheaply on my end in keeping the cost of this parts caster down. It is really becoming my favorite guitar, and I'm putting a lot of attention into it these days because I just really love it. It's really funny that I would fall in love with the Stratocaster. Don't tell my Uncle Carlton. He'll banish me from the family. But I only say that half kiddingly. But but it really has become one of my favorites. So I'm really investing in it. But I again, before, if I was in a situation where I would spend that money with those, Don Wong, good morning, afternoon, evening, night. Hey, Don Wong, welcome, welcome. Before I went and spent that money getting a Q pickups, I thought to myself, I'll just get an EQ pedal, which I don't need because I already got one. So I'm already set. So again, it all came back to I don't want to spend that kind of money, and I'm good. All roads in my studio always lead back to I'm good. If they don't, then I might be onto something there. But an EQ pedal. So I throw that out there, guys. If you're thinking about swapping pickups, especially if there's ceramic pickups in your guitar, before you do that, why don't you check your height adjustments, take a listen there, and then next think about using a parametric EQ and working with that and seeing how that works first. A lot cheaper, $30 for that kind of EQ you can have. Even the cheapest ones, you can't really go wrong. That's one of the most super basic pedals out there. Does Uncle Carlton not like Strats? No, Matty, he does not. He says, I quote, I never got along with them things. My Uncle Carlton has played every guitar under the sun, including the famous Layla Stratocaster. And he had it. He had it. He owned the one that the slide guitar was done on. And he sold it, or he didn't keep it because he didn't like playing it. That is a true story. In case you guys not. So that's the extent of my Uncle Carlton Stratocasters. Yeah, well, and now in Hebrew, of course, he kicks himself to this day. He says, "Man, that thing is hanging down at the Hard Rock Cafe. Now, you guys own that guitar?" But yeah, Uncle Carlton Strats, true story. There's no piece of gear as subjective as your choice of strings. Now, just from looking, nobody could tell you what gauge of strings is on a guitar. Hey, it's like, hey, guys, what gauge of strings is that? I have no idea. It's sitting on a stage, sitting in front of the stage, looking up at, your favorite guitar player, trying to figure out what gauge he has on when you're a kid. I've been there. You can't figure it out. No one can tell what gauge or even the pick that you're using. I have used these same picks for forever. This is the Dunlop USA nylon 0.67 millimeter. This is my pick. Now, some would say that's too light for me. Some would say that's too heavy. I think this is a nice in-between one. This is the pick that I've been using for literally for decades. But again, it's subjective, and really, when it comes down to strings and picks, only your opinion really does matter, or does it? This week, I came across these strings. So, and again, this is not an infomercial. HGFCV. You got me on that one, Meredith. You're going to have to decipher that one. I need the cipher on that one. I got these Primo, let me see here, 9.5, yeah. I got these Primo Slinkies in. And I guys, I know you're going to think that Mike just crawled out from underneath a rock, but I was not aware of these. I went in to get a set of Super Slinkies because I've been trying my usual. You know, this is, again, just like my picks, company I've been using for 15 years now or so. This is my custom set that I order, half a dozen of every few months. And I've been using these for my guitars for years. This is Newton Strings out of the UK, out of actually Derbyshire, England. Handcrafted in Derbyshire. And on the Partscaster Strat, on my Les Pauls, these worked fine. But there was just something about, and by the way, this set goes from a 9 to a 48. So that's a pretty heavy set of 9s there at the end. But for Les Pauls, it worked really well. I've been experimenting with them on my Squier Strat. And it's okay, but I need a little slink. I had a set of Slinkies. I was doing that show where I was talking about strings gauges a few weeks ago, and so I had purchased a set of Super Slinkies, and I threw them on here, and I liked them. I actually said, wow, I actually like this better than my Newtons on this. It's funny. But Slinkies and I go back. That was the other. If it wasn't before the Newton strings, it was Super Slinkies I always used. So it was like an old friend. And I went back to using those, and then I took the guitar in to Fern, and of course he had to cut the strings off because he was doing the work on it. And he replaced them with just a generic set of 9s. And I immediately didn't like them. So I thought I would throw this out tonight. Wow, it's such a personal thing with strings. I can sit here and pontificate on is this particular guitar of this merit, or we can all come to an agreement about is Reliking stupid or not. I guess where I lay on that one. But when it comes to strings, it really is a total, and in picks, it's so subjective. And so you can seek, but so I say that, or is it, because I think tonight I'm seeking you guys' input. I wasn't happy with the 9s. I'm not happy with even my custom set of 9s. The Slinky 9, the Slinky 9, and then it goes from 9 to an 11. I didn't like that either. Because these strings, mine go from a 9 to 11, but there was something about my Newtons that didn't feel like the Slinks. It's weird. Again, these weird small little details. So have you guys heard of these Primo Slinkies? I'm going to give these a try. I'm thinking about throwing these on my guitar here, because I absolutely hate whatever this is that Fern put on here. I have no idea what this is. I'm sure they're fine, just generic set of 9s, but they're killing me. Strings really do make a difference as far as you are the player. That's right. Your touch, how do you play? Are you a heavy player? Are you a light player? How often do you have to change your strings? To be frank with you guys, I don't sweat a lot with my hands, and so I can keep a set of strings for a long time. long, long, long time. And frets, forget about it. I will never have a guitar where I wore the frets down. I have a very light touch. I'm a 10 to 52 for my Strats, and the feel is amazing, but it's my sound. The premium Ernie Ball Slinky Streams are very nice. Yeah, thank you so much, Don Juan, for that. Yeah, they are. Like I said, since I was 16 years old until now, so 40 years, this has been it for me as far as strings concerned. Ernie Balls, or when I started getting a little bit more, snooty, I switched over to these. Well, for good reason, because these are handmade, guys. This is like the Rolls Royce of strings, and not ridiculously expensive either. As a matter of fact, they're on par with these. I've said that before. You can have your own custom set of excellently handmade strings for the price that you can have for even these. So there's that. But I am going to move now in guitar as well. See, that was the other thing there too as well, Don Juan, because I switched guitars. Now I'm not, Tele necks, Strat necks. Yeah, I've been there before, so it's not, it's not. No, let me not say that. It's a little crude, but it's not a new place that my hands have been. So I think that with that, I've got to go through the crazy process, which is what this is about tonight, of deciding, what strings I'm comfortable with playing this Strat now. Phil Rodriguez says, for me, it has a lot to do with the guitar. I've actually had good luck with 9.5s on some guitars. Have you used these Primo Slinky 9? So it's 9.5, 12, 16, 24, 34, and 44. Whereas this set I had was 9, 11, 16, 28, 38, and 48. So this is heavier set. This is 34, 44. And that was the other thing, is just for a Strat, maybe that was just a little bit too heavy on the end. For the balance of the neck that I'm dealing with. So yeah, man, it's, and that leads into even the broader thing that getting into it, I'm talking about pickups for the Strat, now I'm talking about strings for the Strat, and it's the same crazy mess, with Les Pauls. And Telecasters. It's always that, that circus of it's like a bed, I guess. When you go shopping for a bed, okay, you get, it's like, this mattress is just like Goldilocks. This mattress is too hard, or this one's too soft, or this one's just right, Will this be the one that's just right? Well, it could be. I like Ernie Ball strings, obviously. And I just didn't know that this existed. This is really cool that they came out with something like this. This might actually just fit the bill for me and my Strat playing. A set of regular 9s obviously is not it. So now I have to start experimenting again. And the idea of that at this point is not very appealing. Yes, the Ernie Balls. Yeah, is not very appealing with me, to be frank, to tell you the truth, because I'm getting kind of tired of these rabbit holes that you have to go down. I mean, crap, the rabbit hole on pickups alone, on Strats. Well, maybe, the bridge pickup, maybe you should get one of those stacked JB59s that Seymour Duncan has, which is basically like their version of a stacked humbucker, in a single coil. How's that sound? Well, that sucks. It sounds like ass. Well, no, it's the best thing since, sliced bread, and then you start reading about these things, and it gets nuts. Matty Two Hat says, I'm on 9 to 42 for Fenders, 10 to 46 half step down Gibsons. Okay, I can dig that. 12 to 53 full step down on acoustic. Yeah, even, the tension, man, too, because, everybody says that Stevie Ray Vaughan famously played 13s. But what they don't mention is that he was addicted to drugs at the time. And he himself said that once he got off drugs and realized how shredded his fingers were, the pain from it every evening, he quickly moved down to 11s. Detention has a lot to do with it too. I can't do heavy strings. But you mentioned something about pickup heights earlier, and that plays a role on your string sound and feel too, yes. If magnets are staggered even plus string height too, a combo of things, yes. And that's where I'm building. So again, thank you for noticing that, Don Juan. Yes, that I'm building my case before the jury here about, look at this, guys, all the things that goes into your particular tone and how that tone translates to another guitar. In my case, I'm switching guitars. I'm going from playing Telecasters forever to playing Les Pauls forever, and now I'm starting to pick up the Strat, which, I've played them before, but I never owned one. And now I have the time to sit there and flip it over and say, hey, well, what about this? Well, let me, and then there's rabbit holes again. But I'm putting this case in front of you that strings, pickups, all these things contribute to a tone, and then these, of course. And finding your tone, we're going to talk about that a lot more here as well. Finding your tone is really components of, again, those things, the pick again. Even something like a pick can make a difference. I can't play a heavy gauge pick. I can't, a heavy gauge pick is very difficult if I want to do, any kind of funk riffs or any kind of rhythmic licks of that nature. It's like, for me, it's like using a brick. It has to have that flexibility of feeling. But I've learned that this pick over decades, I've been playing this same pick, and now it's like part of my hands. And that again, and I know how to soft use it. I know when to use it. I know how it works, and so there's a lot of that too. Don Juan again says, I'm sorry, we read that. It is a lot of components to your overall sound, and you kind of got to go through them one by one. Right now, I'm focusing on getting the tone where I like it with this guitar. Now, it's got that. The guitar has to have good bones, which this one does. Again, the parts God smiled upon me. And I'm experimenting. I've got these ceramics where I like it, and I've actually written down where they're placed. So if I do put them back in again, I can put them in exactly where I had them before. But strings, I'm experimenting with them. So I guess it's kind of exciting. I guess in that way, it's something to get excited about. It's a lot of new stuff to me, a lot of new stuff that I'm learning about the Strats world, the world of the Stratocaster, and it's all interesting to me. But I do have to make these adjustments in order to get it to sound the way I hear it here, and that is subjective. Don Juan again says, I will admit, like Maddie Two Hats, I like 10 through 46 or 11s on a Gibson. I was using 9s, but I also had a set of custom 10s as well there that I was ordering from these guys in Derbyshire. I can take that. I tend to lean to 11s on Les Pauls. I used to do 13s, but that's just too damn heavy on Kenny Wayne Shepherd start. All right. Again, 13s. He came down to 11s when he sobered up. So there is the sustain thing with 13s. We talked about this before, in the heavier gauges. But realistically, I think, again, that's subjective. I can't say whether that's right or wrong. It has to be, or I of course I have my preference myself, and it may or may not line up with everybody here. I think as we age, we should go lighter and lighter until we float away. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to be the one to say it, but I think I'm going in the opposite direction. I think I started out lighter and I'm getting heavier as I'm getting older, and I guess that makes me kind of a weirdo. But I think not between, I'm floating between nines and I'm talking about 9.5s here, so not, I'm still within a range there. It seems like there's a range there of either 10 to 11s or 9 to 10s. Very rarely have I ever seen anybody play realistically with eights. I've never heard of it. I've never seen anybody. I think that sevens and eights are probably the one strings that you could look at and identify as, because they're the ones that look like a spider ran up the neck of your guitar. They're so thin and light. But yeah, there's that, guys. Just throwing it out there because it's crazy. I mean, there's a lot of things to unpack in that. Of what I'm saying tonight, because I'm saying don't rush out and spend a whole lot of money with your pickups. Spend some time with them, but then again, maybe look at your strings too. Maybe some changes in your strings might also have something to do with that sound. Of course it will. All this is predicated with you having something good to plug into. So that goes without saying. But these are just two aspects of my Strat this week that I was delving into, the pickups and the strings. And the rabbit holes on that, guys, are infinite. And it's crazy to me that these people will put up these, on the forums that I read when I go to do a little research, the statements that people will make, because they'll make it like it's God-honest gospel, And it's not always that way. Yeah, light is good. It's like B.B. King said, why you want to work so hard? But not too light. But on the Strats, I'm finding I might like it, a little bit heavier than a 9. Not as bottom endy heavy as my custom set. And maybe, again, like I said, these Primos, maybe Primo. We shall see. So, but I'm waiting for those pickups to come in, and then I'll wire them in. Take these out, these ceramics out, and wire those in. Then go through the pleasure and joy, but at least I'll have the new pickups and the new strings, and that'll be something someplace I can start from, and see how that sounds. I may like the old pickups and the old strings. Well, you never know. Not on 7 or 8 yet. I think I'll stop at 9s. Yeah, man. You get it too light and too light of a guitar, like I said, that sucker, you'll have to tie it down with a stone at night. So there's that, guys. I throw that out there. Funny thing, I'm not a collector of guitar straps at all. Have I ever showed you guys this strap before? This is a 1968, I believe, vintage Ace strap. These are the famous straps of just about every rock and roller you could think of, from Clapton to Santana to Hendrix. Everybody had. You can see it is authentic. That this is an authentic Ace strap, not a replica. This is an actual Ace strap from 1960s. And amazing, the condition that this is in. It's an absolute, you would think that this is a brand new strap. And it got me thinking about something to finish up here tonight. Let me see here. Uh, just a random South Park animators. Hey, welcome. I love South Park. South Park is always welcome here. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Flashback. Yeah, this is a heck of a flashback. I mean, dude, man, Hendrix wore this, at Woodstock. Dig that, man. Before I get into this, how's everybody out there doing? I'm drinking, obviously, the obvious drink of a man in my condition, pure orange juice. One of the wonderful things that I like about living here in the Netherlands is that they have these these open markets, like farmers markets. Except for it's friggin' every day here. Every day is farmers market day on some street or avenue here in the Netherlands. Yeah, I know the series called Supernatural. Yeah. Yeah. I'm familiar with that. Yeah. I dig that show. That's an old one too. On the what network is that? Yeah. Who's your favorite character? On Supernatural, no, it's not gonna work like because I'm not a big fan of that. I was more of a fan. If you want to get into that, of Buffy the Vampire, I do believe that those are within the same era. Maybe I'm a little off. Maybe Supernatural's a little older. So now I can't get into that one on that one. Bro, forget the CJ and pour up some liquor. No, the OJ and pour up some liquor. By the way, thank you, Random Game Girl 1234 answer that question, but I can't answer that one. But I'll tell you what I will do. If you come back next week, I will give you an answer on that one. How about that? I just got this new link to this website that you can go to. I'm not going to say what it is because I'm not going to promote it because it cannot be legit at all. But I can look up Supernatural. I can look up Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I can look up all the CW network. I can look up all those old CW shows and look at them for free. It's quite amazing. I don't know how long it's illegal. It's got to be as illegal as hell. But I can research and go back and say, hey, let me go back and look at that and try to remember that. So I will do that. If you come back next week, I will have an answer for you, I promise. Yeah, it's orange juice, guys, for me tonight. Liquor, no. Although, I do believe in hot toddies. I do believe if you take a little bit of strong tea, a little shot of whiskey, a little shot of honey and lemon, and drink that down before you go to bed, that could be good for you. I've made those, and I'm not that bad tonight. I don't need a hot toddy. I think I caught it before it got too serious. I'm getting pretty good at that. But yeah, it sucks either way. Just to have low energy, that kind of thing. Throw a little scratchy and a little puffy. But hey, how are we doing? Hey, I'm 11:50 in, 11:48 in, so I'm doing all right. Yeah, back to this. Strings are about trial and terror sometimes. Yeah, I agree. Strings, like I said, I was so sad. I was like, well, I like the way these sound on Les Pauls. That's what I'm playing right now. Now I got a whole new guitar and I got to figure out a whole new set of strings for it. But it's an adventure and it's fun. Like I always say, it's fun. But this strap is a vintage strap. And if you guys know anything about the vintage strap market, you'll know that the price of a strap like this, you could buy yourself a good Squire, honestly. And it was a gift to me as a birthday present a few years ago, or many a year ago now. But, so I'll never let it go. But I always felt having such an expensive strap was kind of a posery kind of thing to have. Guitar straps, My other strap that I have is this one. This is my Native Son strap, made in the United States. A fraction of the cost of that one there, but a good hemp made strap. Not a poser thing to have at all. But I began to think about what are some of the things that make a poser guitar player. Along with your strings, do you prefer a particular pickup magnet, Article 2, 3, or 4, or 5? Let me see if I can reach this here. Yeah. So I just mentioned these earlier. These are my Q pickup humbuckers set. These are Alnico 3 pickups because the Japanese pickups, a lot of the Japanese pickups, either single coil or their humbuckers were usually, not usually, but for the most part, Alnico 3 magnets. Alnico 3 or Alnico 5. Generally in the States and other places you'll find Alnico 2 and Alnico 5. In Japan it was Alnico 3 and Alnico 5 pickups. So I again like the sound of Alnico 3 pickups, and you really can hear a difference. There's something there in the mids. But I have a preference for Alnico 5 pickups, to be honest with you. One of the rare exceptions that I mentioned earlier were those Gibson 490 and 498 pickups. Those are Alnico 2s. Those are probably my favorite set of Alnico 2 pickups. So I guess the answer to that is that yes and no. It really depends upon single coil humbuckers, and even within humbuckers, I've got preferences. It's all about preference, and it really depends upon the guitar as well. I really have found that you'll have a set of pickups that you'll put in one guitar and they'll sound dark. You'll swap them out and put it into another one and they'll sound great, independent of what magnet they were. With the exception of my Telly is a combo of 5 to 2, yeah. And then you get into combos as well. Alnico 2 in the neck and 5 in the bridge, Yet again, another rabbit hole. But guitar posers, having a 200, I'm sorry, 20, not 200, it couldn't be 200 years. Having what is that, 58 years or 56 years old, whatever that works out to, guitar strap is kind of a posery kind of thing to do, I thought to myself. I accepted the gift gracefully, and I'm glad to have it, but I would be mortified if I were to gig it out, and I'd be pissed as take the guitar, don't take the strap. Please steal the guitar, don't take my strap. See, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, which is why I don't like expensive guitars. But I made a list just for fun about things to make sure that you do not become a guitar poser. What's a guitar poser? Well, everybody's got their own definition, but usually it's like the guy who is the headstock snob. It's the guy who will argue with whether the screws on a particular year or make or model are actually correct or not. They're not buying it, they're just yapping about it. And nothing to do with picking up a guitar, playing at your church, playing at your live house, playing at a stadium full of 100,000, 200,000 people, or playing at home for your family. It has nothing to do with any of those things. See, I respect all those other things. I don't respect, getting into the minutia of things. I think that's a kind of a poser thing to do. And every time I read it or I see it in a form, it just makes me giggle because I think, man, when you die and go to the pearly gates, St. Peter's going to say to you, hey, man, he's not going to say, hey, man, did you have a a 1959 Strata, or was that a parts caster you were rocking down there? Because I don't know if we can let you in. He's not going to say that. He's going to say, hey, what did you do with that guitar? Did you play it in a church? Did you play it for your friends? Did you play it in a studio? Did you play it in front of 50,000 people? You know, it's the posers, I think, are the ones that are going to get the boot. So how do we have that not happen to us? How do we make our passage through the pearly gates of guitar heaven smooth? I think there's a couple of things, and I have a list here of things that you can do in order to make yourself not a guitar snob or a guitar poser. Yeah, somebody, okay. Well, number one, make playing your priority. Wow. Well, real super simple concept. Make playing the guitar your priority. Because if you're focusing on playing, then you're going to get good, obviously. You're going to get better. So that you can make those moves to move into a studio or play at a church or play in front of people. The other thing it's going to do, again, is, as I always preach, is build an intimacy with that instrument. You're really going to get to know that instrument very well. So and also you're not going to be distracted. If you're playing and practicing, you're not on reverb looking at what the next, thing is. You're not on YouTube watching demos of whatever the newest shiny thing, that XYZ company has for you to spend your money on that you really shouldn't be. So I think and also, instead of telling somebody about what the guitar is, you're showing them what it sounds like. So number one, to not making yourself a guitar poser, I say, is make playing your priority. Number two, only buy if it's really needed. The motto of this channel is I'm good. I just bought a set of pickups, and they are needed. Again, like I said, I get to, not just for my own personal curiosity, I get to say, hey guys, this is what a set of Japanese Strat pickups from 1989 sounds like, Alnico pickups. And I'm sure you would agree that sharing is caring. And so I do think along those lines, of course. I have a YouTube channel. So when I make, it's gotten to that point, it's the reality of it. When I make purchase choices, I'm making them also in the context, is this something, of course I have to be interested in, but is this in the context of something that I can share on YouTube that people will find interesting? So yeah, only buy if it's really needed. And again, this is the road to happiness, I believe. This is the road to I'm good, the one that I talk about and preach on this channel. The motto, the slogan of this channel for everybody that's new here is I'm good. Basically what it means is that, and this is independent of whether you're a musician or not, it's whatever hobbies or things that you find yourself in possession of, is being happy with the things that you have and making those work. I think it's been born of my travels in Asia for most of my life, and seeing the other side of society, the coin, where I began to really have an appreciation for what I have, and I've seen guys who had a lot less that made it work a lot better than the stuff that I have, believe me. So yeah, that's born of that, which leads into number three, enjoy your instrument, enjoy it. Guys, what a pleasure it is to get into the world of building a parts caster. And getting it right the first time. I mean, again, I'm not a new kid on the block. I know about guitars enough, quite enough, where I kind of knew what I was looking for. But even then, it's still really a luck of the draw. And it's a pleasure to have a new instrument, to have something new and to enjoy, to wonder about which strings does it need, to wonder, if those Japanese pickups will be any better than the ceramic ones. So you guys will be the judge of that coming up here shortly. But more than that, just enjoying writing on it. The fact, like I said, I think I told you, I picked it up and I was immediately able to start writing, composing with it. Always a good sign. So enjoy your instrument. Number 4, your gear is only as good as you make it. Again, all these are kind of flowing and they're all part of the same thing. But your gear is only as good as you make it. Again, now you would say, well, that sounds like you're saying that you should go out there and buy everything. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Can you search the Ultra Q OST and listen to the song called Castle Vang? Hey, brother, if you got a track up there and you want people to listen, everybody support an artist here who has a track to listen to, Castle Vang. Take a listen to it. I will take a listen to it when I'm done here. I will support anybody that's got a tune to listen to. No problems. But it's like I was alluding to there. Your gear is only as good as you make it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying go out there and buy the latest thing. I'm saying it's as good as you make it. Do you have the tools to make the adjustments on your pickups? Do you have the knowledge of not just your guitars, but your amp or your modeler in order to get the most out of what you have? And then when you learn that, to be able to make it do something that it wasn't intended to do. No, I can't do it on stream, not right now. When Jock and I were starting out and we were using the original version of the MPC 60, again, those were designed a certain way and as a basic drum machine sampler. But but everybody, we're going to support you, brother. We're going to listen to it, Isaiah/J. We're going to listen to it. Everybody, if you got a chance, take a listen to this track, please, please, please. Yes, sir. I'll take a listen to it, and I will next stream again. That's another thing. I'll make a note here. But we made that MPC 60. We learned how it worked, and we were able to then kick it up a notch and do other things with it that it wasn't intended to do. We didn't use the sequencer on it. We played it live. There's a lot of other things. We really learned that instrument, and then we were able to take it and make more out of it. So that's what I'm talking about when I say your gear is only as good as you make it. Again, that road of intimacy with what you got, if you're always out there looking for the latest, hottest thing, then when are you really going to sit down and learn to work in the manual of the things that you have? People, don't forget to hit the like button for Brother Mike. Thank you, Don Juan. Appreciate that. What do we got here? We got 18 people watching and 9 likes. We've divided. We're doing division here, guys. Let's not do division. Hit those likes, guys. Hit those likes. Thank you so much for doing so. Whether you're watching this live or you're watching this in the rerun, hit that like button. Thank you so much, Don Juan. But yeah, your gear is only as good as you make it. That's a true story. Brothers were rocking gear. What do you think, distortion came from? Early distortion came from a small little amp that somebody cranked all the way up and put their whatever into. They're probably a Gretsch or something like that through, or Strat, early Strat. Mic'd it up, and that's how they got distortion. But that was using the tool for something it wasn't intended to do for in the first place, in order to achieve something. You got to know what you got to know whether or not it can get you to where you want to go. See what I did there? But that's true. And number 5. This one's going to be controversial. Some of you guys out there are not going to like this. Some of you guys will agree with it. But be a player or collector, realistically, you really can't be both. You're either a player or you're a collector. Realistically, you can't be both. Now, I thought about that one before I wrote it down and said, well, somebody's going to throw up Joe Bonamassa to me, who's both a player and a collector. But see, there's a big difference between an average collector and a guy like Joe Bonamassa. Joe Bonamassa has an end game there. He knows that all that stuff that he bought and the guitars that he played live on his infinite amount of shows that he's put on has added value to those instruments. Not just for the fact that he owned them, but also the fact that he played them and they are well documented, and they will extremely go up in price as a result of that. Eric Clapton's Parkcaster Blackie guitar sold for $995,000. It's a Parkcaster. It's a 59 body and a 61 neck, or something along those lines. If Joe Blow's collector's Parkcaster went up for sale, believe me, he's not getting $995,000 for it. No, collectors and players of those caliber, that's their retirement plan. That's their island, down in the South Pacific. When they sell all that stuff out, put it up for auction. And if you don't believe me, well, I just gave you an example of where Joe B will be in a few years. You will be seeing his stuff go up for auction. So it's not the same thing at all. When you're a collector on the average level, you're really just a collector. For a rock star, it makes sense. Again, it's a cash out. It's a 401k plan of sorts. For players, we don't have that luxury because if we have certain guitars, it's because they're the ones that are being gigged and that we're using for gigs, and that's not saying something lightly, because unless you got a roadie, that means you're lugging that around. And the tops that I found myself doing was 2 guitars and 1 amp. That as far as I would go, and I wouldn't do that now. I wouldn't do it now. So I damn well sure better have 1 guitar. Of course, you should always have a backup, but realistically now, to have 1 guitar, and that's about it. And that's the one that you're practicing playing, writing, composing, and gigging with. And that's as a player. So you can't be both. You really can't. You're either a player or you're a collector. You can't realistically really be both unless you're a rock star. And again, in that case, they're doing it because, again, there's an end game to that. It's not collective. Sure, I know they love them, of course. To say that Joe Bonamassa in any way, means, or shape is a money grab for him would not be it wouldn't be a total truth. It wouldn't be an incomplete truth either. But no, he loves his instruments. It would be an incomplete truth because he does love his instruments as well. He loves the history of them. He's passionate about them. So that's kind of what makes Joe Joe. That's why we kind of love him for that. But there is an end game to that realistically with it. And that cannot be denied. So, but that type of collector is a completely different type of collector. It's a different thing. On a basic level, again, like I said, you're either a player or you're a collector. Now, am I calling collectors in that kind of posers? Yeah, again, those are the guys who are going to be, pretty much, your poser types. There's more poser types within that group than there are within the players. I'll tell you that much. Mike, I have 3 guitars and 1 P bass for the studio session, live gigs, and yeah. That's a correct formula. That's kind of what I'm rocking myself. If I think about it right now myself, exactly so. You kind of gravitate towards what you're really comfortable with, and yes, age does play a part in that. But that's a player. That is the list of a player. That is not the list of a collector. somehow Joe can smoke a cigar, talk about his 500 Vintage Plus, and get away with it. Well, he can get away with it again because his passion of it. You know, he lives and breathes it. He's been doing it with his pop because his pop, you know, is one who was doing it. He was the original, you know, safari kind of guy with Joe when he was a kid. So yeah, he gets a pass for it because we all know his history and we know he's legit. Joe gets a pass. Joe gets a pass. At least here on this channel, he does. Joe is a rare exception, yeah. But again, this channel is we're all rare exceptions here. So this is a home for rare exceptions. Certainly, me being what I am, where I am, puts me in that category as well in a way. So that's all right. That's okay. That's all right. We all still admire him for his passion. I don't use that word because it's used too much these days. But in his case, it can be truly said it's a passion. He loves it, and it comes across. But he is a rare exception, as was just said. So don't be a guitar poser. I don't think anybody here on watching here live tonight, or probably even in the rerun, is opposed to any of these 5 things to make yourself not opposed. I think everybody here could pretty much well agree that these things make sense and they fall in line. So something to chew on. Yeah, I am the owner of an Ace guitar strap, which is kind of a poser. If you know anything again about that, and you know that's kind of a posery, but that is the one posery item that I have, and again it was a gift, because you don't need it. You know, like I showed you between these two. Again, and these are really my 2 straps. These are all I got strap wise. But you know, this one is a fraction of this one, and I really love this one. So you don't have to have the Ace strap. That's something like this from Native Sons. And if you guys don't know this, support that company. These are made from hemp. Native Sons out of the States. They make really the most comfortable guitar straps and beautiful as well, that you can imagine. Made out of hemp. Great straps, guys, for cheap. I mean, well, for a reasonable price, not the price of that Ace. And you see, I just tossed it. Yeah, sure. That's how much I have regard for guitar straps. But don't be a poser, guys. I think I am done for tonight, guys. I think I have done pretty well considering the fact that I am full-blown cold mode right now. But I am proud of myself that I stuck in there. I didn't do the regular show again. I didn't put that out yesterday. That will be going out tomorrow. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Strap mic, you ain't no, but I appreciate that. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you. I'm trying not to be. I will put that video out tomorrow. That video is talking about what we talked about last week, but still relevant, about acoustic guitars and keeping a lookout for certain models. I'm expecting these Japanese pickups in the mail, so I will film that, but that'll be the following week. But we'll talk about that next Sunday and how that worked out. I may even hold off on putting those in because, again, I'm playing this out. I've had it for a while. I play it every day for hours and hours. I'm not making changes to it based on just a whim. I'm looking at the things that I think will make this a fine instrument. A new bridge is something also too. So I might wait. I've got Fern looking for a new bridge for cheap for me, something that he thinks is good. Again, to keep the cost down. So I may do all that at once. We'll see. I'm kind of considering. I'm in no hurry right now because as it stands, it's great. What I'm trying to do now is get that extra, again, I'm doing number 4. Your good is only good as you make it. So I'm going to make this piece of gear as good as I can with my experience. Dr. Powell, thank you so much for showing up. Ben, thank you so much for showing up. Maddie, Don Juan, Isaiah Zay. We'll check that track out, brother. I promise you. Who else do we had here? Random Game Girl 1234. I am going to look at Supernatural this week, I promise you, and refresh myself with it, and I will have an answer. Whom I do, I'm confusing. I know, so I don't want to embarrass myself, but we will get to that next week. Thanks to all of you guys for showing up and for taking the time to watch. Your time is valuable. You don't have to waste it with me. But for some reason you do every week, and it is really appreciated. And you guys take care of yourself this week, and God bless. And I'll get over this, and I will be in much better condition next Sunday. Until the next one, you guys take care. Bye-bye.